if you're watching this video, you're either unemployed or you're unhappy in your job and looking for something new. It's not nice to be in either of those positions. And I can relate to that. For the past 4 months, I've been actively looking for work, applying to jobs every day, tailoring my CV to every application, constantly scrolling on job boards like LinkedIn and Indeed, and scrolling to see what new jobs have appeared and how my applications have been going. And it's never an easy place to be. So I wanted to make this video to give a bit of light to that journey, because last week I did get an offer and I've gone ahead with that offer. So there is light at the end of the tunnel. And even though where you are right now, it might seem that with all of the rejection that it's never going to happen, that you're never going to be able to find a job that is right for you, or that you're not going to be able to be successful. But I just wanted to share my story of how I went from unemployed, looking for jobs for over 4 months, to having a job offer and actually receiving 2 offers in the same week. So I started this journey with a pretty poor CV. It's one that I'd made quickly, but had got me a job in the past. So I figured, well, that'll do the job for now as well. But I had to take a real look at it, and I had to realize that if I wanted to get a job, I needed to make sure that my CV stood out. If it didn't, you immediately get put into every other candidate and you get that rejection email, or more than likely you hear nothing back. So what really helped for me was to amend my CV, and it's actually what got me my job now. I had been rejected from this company with my old CV. I redid my CV. I found that the application was still open after a couple months, meaning that they hadn't filled the position, and I was able to get to the next stage and quickly went through the stages to get the offer. I think the key thing is to update that CV, and what I did, which really helped me, was to have a sort of key skills segment and in the beginning of the CV. Don't have a picture. It does not help. Trust me. I thought it would be nice and I thought it would give a human touch, but at this point, I believe a lot of companies are using AI, and I think having a picture there just doesn't really help. People want to see, or the hiring managers want to see, your skills. And so having that skills and making sure that you have also a strong, brief 2 or 3 sentences about who you are and how your knowledge and skills and expertise, how you can bring that to the place that you're applying to. And then having a list of your key skills, ideally, match the wording that they use in the job application and your experience to really highlight and show the skills that you have. From there, you can then show your experience. Again, I think it's really important to use the language from the job application into your CV. And that's what really helped me. I went from getting a lot of rejection to quite quickly getting some momentum and getting a number of interviews. And actually, it was the interviews that really helped me, not only to, feel like I was making some progress, but also to gain confidence as well. But if you find that you're not getting any interviews or not getting past the first stage, I think it's really important to have a look at your CV. Try and put a little bit of effort into making that as sort of clear, concise as possible. Don't use really long words, or, you have to imagine that people are going to be skimming through your CV if people are even doing it at all. So make sure that you have those keywords there, keep it brief, especially in the sort of first page. That was something that really helped me updating my CV. From there, I started to find that I was getting more interviews, and from there I had to start to make some presentations. I don't know what it will be like for you, but for me, I had to make a lot of presentations explaining what I would do in the first 90 days of the role. And I found that with each presentation, I started to get more comfortable presenting in front of people, something that I hadn't done a lot in the past. Or at least whenever I had been presenting in the past, I was always extremely nervous. I didn't feel comfortable talking in front of a group of people. But doing these presentations in front of complete strangers, where feels like there's so much pressure, really helped me to gain some confidence when it came to presenting. But I think what was really helpful was, before every interview, each conversation, I was using ChatGPT as a sort of interview coach. I would share the job description and ask it to ask me some questions that I might expect in the interview. And I would go through each of those questions one by one and act as if it was in the interview. And that way, when the questions came up in the interview, I was ready, I had an answer, and even if I felt a bit flustered, nervous, I still had something in the back of my mind that I'd said before. So that was really key for helping me to get my point across, not ramble as much, and not let my nerves take over. I think that's something that's happened to me in the past. I've said that, when somebody's asked me, what is your biggest weakness? I've said that I'm a perfectionist, which obviously is not a good answer. And I will say, in my experience of the interviews I've had, I did not ever get that question, what is your biggest weakness? So one thing I will say is make sure that you can answer one of the sort of two first questions that they'll ask will be, tell us what you know about this company, or tell us a bit about yourself. And in those two questions, you either have to, if they ask you what your background is, just highlight the skills that you have and how they would be relevant to the role. It's not about your sort of personal life or where you grew up, which I have sort of answered in the past. You can throw in some personal interests at the end of your answer, but make sure that it's just a brief segment and highlight your skills and how they're relevant to the job. And if they're asking you what you know about the company, again, it's just to test your knowledge of the company. So again, before every interview, spend some time on their site, get to know their language and what they are doing. It will really go a long way. I think as well, it's also important to keep in mind that it is harder when you go in for an interview and you give a presentation and you get rejected. Like it happened to me, of course, a number of times, and it feels terrible. It feels like you've put yourself out there, but after each rejection, I've come to realize that the right thing for me will work out. It will go the way that I want it to go. And even if a company seems like it's perfect, I definitely found myself with rose-tinted glasses, seeing an opportunity to be so much better than it was in reality. Telling myself, oh, it's a perfect location. Oh, the company is perfect. Oh, I'm going to love that part. And then when I get the rejection, after I processed it for a couple of days, I realized actually this was a bit off, or, maybe that wouldn't have been great. So try and look at it from both perspectives of, is this place right for you? Or are you just really wanting a job? And I know what it feels like to be in that position, but you will find the right thing for you. It does take time. It's a long process. I honestly thought that I'd find a job within the first month of looking. And so obviously it took me a lot longer than expected, and it can take a long time. But if you keep applying, keep making smaller improvements, adjustments, make sure you're getting in your preparation for the interviews, you will find the right thing for you. One more thing that I wanted to mention as well is just how I was able to stay motivated throughout the entire process, because it is really tricky. And it can be very upsetting when you feel like you have your whole future riding on an email after an interview. But I think the thing that kept me motivated was making sure that I had a life outside of applying for jobs. I started this YouTube channel. I set myself running goals. I was making sure that I was getting out, getting active, reading, and having that as an outlet really helped me to get over those rejections. So if I got a rejection, I'd head out for a run, maybe even just a walk, just to try and clear my head, get some fresh air. And that can be really useful to helping you reframe what's just happened, process it, and get into that mindset of applying again. I know it sucks. It really sucks. I really didn't enjoy it, and it's horrible to just put yourself out there over and over again. But it's worth it. In the end, you will find something that is right for you. So yeah, I think those are the sort of key things. And basically, I just wanted to share my story of what I did to help me to get my job in 2025. And it can happen when you least expect it. I applied for this job. Like I said, I'd been rejected already. I then was invited for the first stage interview, had half an hour phone call, then had a 2-hour meeting where I had to give a presentation. And I think what really helped me to get this role was the fact that I had these hobbies and interests outside of work. They were really looking for somebody that was invested in themselves because they were also going to be investing in me. So try and make sure that you're doing something to progress yourself, to grow, to learn, to push yourself outside of just applying for jobs, because I think that can go very far when you speak to the right company. And again, since I just started this new job, I'm going to be sharing a little bit of how I transitioned from that unemployed life of having basically no schedule and having to be very flexible to 9 to 5, and how I balance my sort of fitness journey and sport along with a 9 to 5:30 job. So if you enjoyed the video, I hope that it inspired you in some way to keep going, to trust that the right thing is out for you. And yeah, if you enjoyed it, let me know if there's any tips you want to share with other people in the comments. Maybe you also had a tough journey from unemployment or finding a new job and there was something that worked for you. Yeah, if you can share that in the comments for other people, that would be lovely. But otherwise, thank you so much for watching, and I wish you all the best in finding your next role. Trust that the right thing is out there for you. Bye.